And what on earth is going on?
This is massive in terms of Conservative politics. Kemi Badenoch has just axed and suspended possibly the biggest threat to her in her shadow cabinet. She has removed the whip and sacked from her shadow cabinet Robert Jenrick, who ever since he lost the leadership contest to her just over a year ago, has widely thought in Westminster to have been plotting against the Tory leader. Here we are, about 16 months on from that leadership contest, and Kemi Badenoch has actually increased in strength and is strong enough now to face down and axe that principal rival inside the shadow cabinet. She says she has been presented with irrefutable proof that Robert Jenrick was about to defect to Reform UK. Important to say we haven't had a response from Robert Jenrick. We have not seen the evidence. However, Kemi Badenoch absolutely clear and barrelling in to that argument. There were the slightest rumours knocking around that allies of Robert Jenrick were playing footsie with Reform UK, so that this is a surprise but not a complete out-and-out shock. He was always somebody who seemed more open at some point to doing a deal with Reform, but Kemi Badenoch dramatically pulling the rug from under him and announcing via social media out of the blue that Robert Jenrick is out of her top team, out of the Conservative Party, and has had the whip suspended from him. This shows a number of things. First of all, it shows that the Conservative leadership are very aware of the clear and present danger of Reform, but are willing to take action rather than encouraging any sense of the two parties growing closer together. What they are doing is making clear that there is to be no crossover between Reform UK and the Conservative Party. Second, it is an out-and-out show of strength by the Conservative leader. Kemi Badenoch acting decisively, with the element of surprise, the first mover. She's not waiting to see whether these rumours, this evidence turns out to be true. She's getting on the front foot and getting rid of Robert Jenrick. And thirdly, she is making absolutely clear she's the boss. Now, viewers of Sky News will have followed the story of how Reform after the election surged ahead in the polls, but have dropped back a little bit in recent times while the Conservatives languished on third place. But they are now in a slightly stronger position. While that was going on, Robert Jenrick was effectively playing footsie with Reform. Viewers of Sky News will remember before the summer, back in April, we revealed a secret recording of Robert Jenrick saying that if closer to the next election, the two parties, the Tories and Reform UK, hadn't worked it out and there wasn't a clear Conservative advantage, there was no point in the two parties battling it out and using their firepower against each other at the expense of fighting Labour. A clear sign back in April, therefore, that viewers of Sky News will have seen of Robert Jenrick's intent. Viewers here will also have seen in September and October at Conservative Party conference when I approached Robert Jenrick about this. Again, he just left it more open than you might expect for some kind of deal in the future. Didn't shut that down in the way that Kemi Badenoch does to that question. You have Kemi Badenoch being very, very clear about what's going on. I'm going to read you a little bit of what she's been saying. She said that she's removed the Conservative whip from Robert Jenrick after dismissing him from the shadow cabinet. She says she was very sorry to be presented with clear, irrefutable evidence, not just that he was preparing to defect, but he was planning to do so in the most high-profile, damaging way possible to the Conservative Party. I'll just stop there. We have seen figures like Nadeem Zahawi grab the microphone alongside Nigel Farage just earlier this week. If Robert Jenrick had done that, that would have been sensational. It is my responsibility, Kemi Badenoch says, to protect our party. And faced with that information, and we haven't yet seen that information, I took the only decision that any responsible leader could, because the British public are tired of psychodrama. They saw too much of it in the last government. I think there was too much of it in this government. I will not repeat those mistakes. She goes on. Kemi writes and says, when I was elected leader, I committed to doing politics differently. Disloyalty and dishonesty undermines trust in politics. They're also disrespectful to our party members, our councillors, MPs, and most of all, our voters. You all deserve better. She goes on to give some context, some background. The Conservatives suffered a heavy defeat in 2024. That was painful, but we are rebuilding with strong principles, clear plans, and with a serious team united around a shared purpose. When individuals choose to walk away from that effort for personal ambition, I see nothing about the Conservative Party and everything you need to know about them. There will be more to say, and I know there'll be a lot of commentary about this decision, but I want you to all be in no doubt when tea time, when global uncertainty is where it is. I'm focused on holding the government to account, ensuring they are acting in the national interest, and the Conservative Party can deliver. That's the statement that Kemi Badenoch has just given. A sensational moment as she axes perhaps her chief rival in the shadow cabinet, the loser to the leadership contest back in the back half of 2024 for, she claims, planning to defect to Reform UK, delivered with the utmost of burn that Kemi Badenoch is capable of making sure she has no time for the disloyalty of the man you see on your screens, and she is ousting him, yanking him out of the shadow cabinet. Important to say, we have not heard from Robert Jenrick. Important to say, we have not yet seen the evidence that they are talking about and that Kemi Badenoch is talking about today. Nigel Farage, interestingly, you've had one of them, is doing 2 press conferences today. Could it be as soon as this afternoon that this was being planned for? Nigel Farage has just reacted. Nigel Farage has said on social media in the last few moments, I'm very surprised that this news has broken. I will never reveal private conversations with anyone. I'm going to say that I've had conversations with a number of very senior Conservatives over the course of the last week, the last month. Nigel Farage, therefore, not confirming that he has had talks with Robert Jenrick, not denied that he's had talks with Robert Jenrick, but clearly the Conservative Party leader says she was presented with incontrovertible evidence that Robert Jenrick, one of the leading figures in her shadow cabinet, the shadow justice secretary, somebody who was thought to be privately plotting with certain donors to try and seize the crown if she ends up falling, she essentially has moved to oust Robert Jenrick from her shadow cabinet, suspend him from the Conservative Party, burn his reputation to the best of her ability to make sure that he has, in her view and in her attempt, as little credibility if he now does decide to defect to Reform UK. And frankly, politically, he may not have that much option, and to try and seize control of a situation before it spins out of her grasp. In some ways, this could be a defining moment for Kemi Badenoch's running of the Conservative Party. By acting in this way, acting with this tone, acting with this severity, and getting rid of somebody who had looked like he was circling her with an eye on the crown. It does seem to be as if this whole affair centres on whether or not there was contact between Robert Jenrick and Reform UK and who was having conversations with whom, suggesting that maybe Robert Jenrick was having dinner with Nigel Farage as recently as last month. Maybe even suggestions that Team Jenrick left stuff lying around that made it that got back to Kemi's office. That's currently being reported by one Express journalist. So I think there is a lot to find out in terms of the evidence that Kemi Badenoch has used and has based her action on. And I think that is one of the key things. So we turn now in a moment to hear from Nigel Farage, who's been giving his full reaction. He was doing that in the first of 2 press conferences, a press conference up in Scotland today, where essentially he denies hearing anything, but in a moment we will get a full readout from Nigel Farage about his perspective. And then secondly, the biggie we need to hear from Robert Jenrick. What did he do? What does he accept? What evidence does he agree with? What evidence does he dispute? And politically, what does he do now? Is he just going to pick up sticks and move all the way over to Reform, a party whose agenda and personnel he always seemed to have more sympathy with than Kemi Badenoch as leader of the Labour Party? Was he really planning to effectively destroy a party that nearly elected him leader but didn't quite? Will this be cast as brave, a brave move smelling the wind, the direction of travel of politics at the moment? Or will this be seen as sour grapes from somebody who did not seize the crown, was been unable to seize the crown, and is now confronted with a stronger Kemi Badenoch than before? Dramatic moment that could change the way Kemi Badenoch is seen.